Final season at West Ham, brought in a few new signings. Your old teammate Ian Wright and Razor Ruddock.
Yeah.
What was that like? What was the dressing room like?
Well, dressing room was different class, you know, Razor. I always knew where Razor was, you know, because he's that big. He always seemed to be sitting next to me. And he took, like, it was me and David Unsworth who were quite chunky, weren't we? Me and Unsy. But when Razor came, he took the pressure off us on the scales straight away. He was the heaviest at the club. But I loved Razor. I still like him to today. We have a lot of play out golf together. We support each other's charities, and it's interesting. I spoke to Righty yesterday, and whenever I see Harry, you know, it's great. We're not on the phone all the time because we've all got our bits and bobs going on, but no, it was great. I think Harry just tried to add that little bit of experience. I'd played with Righty previously at Arsenal. He wasn't the Righty that I'd played with. It was like 3 or 4 years on, or whatever, 2 years on. He'd left Arsenal because Anelka and Henry and these guys had come through, and Overmars, and so he was looking to kickstart his career again at West Ham. I think he scored in his first game, Sheffield Wednesday away, wasn't it? And Razor just brought that little bit of steel at the back for us. But it was great. The Christmas parties were excellent.
As I say, yeah, John Moncur there, Sinclair.
Monks was a nut.
You got any funny stories about Monks?
About Monks?
Or
I don't
anyone?
you might have heard this one, but Monks was just, loved his golf. Top golfer, by the way. Plays off about 2 or 3. His brothers, I think one's a pro at Nazing, and I think one's a pro at Thane Boys. So he had it, Monks. He had the golf, he had the swing and everything. He loved his golf. And Monks would just do something to make you laugh. You know, he would have to just do something stupid. If you're in the bar, he would burst through the doors and he'd do like 4 or 5 front crawls on the floor, just to be a village idiot, just to be totally out there. You know, you're thinking, what is he doing? But there was a time as well where he'd strip off on Boxing Day when the training ground was 3 or 4 inches of snow. He'd strip off totally naked, put his boots and his socks on. He'd put a little Father Christmas over his old boy, and he'd jog out as if it's a summer's hot day. And Harry read, "Oh, look, what is he doing?" And he'd send Monks back in. And he just had that little wild thing about him.
Would you say he was the biggest joker in the dressing room?
Probably, yeah. Oh, definitely. And the younger lads just used to look at him and think, what, is this is what I'm aspiring to, you know? But I'm glad he's well, Monks. I believe he's kicked everything. I believe he's not having a drink. He doesn't go very far now. He watches his boy George play, who'll come through the West Ham system. And I think he's become a bit sensible in his old age, like we all do. Yeah. As you get older, the one thing that changes is that you get a bit wiser and you make better decisions, and certainly in my case, that's what I've done. So I'm hearing that Monks is doing really, really well, you know, and I'm pleased about that.
Yeah,
he's a good guy,
we love him at West Ham.
Oh, he's brilliant. And what a player as well.
Yeah, he was. I
Don't
think he's very underrated.
His ability, because Monks could go either way. He was equally as good on his right foot and his left foot. Bish was similar. Good footballer. Harry loved Bish, you know, and then the likes of Lomi came, and Harry loved footballers, you know, and he just loved people that could go out and play football. That's what Harry did, you know.
I mean, during the '98 season, I mean, we'll talk about the training ground incident with Berkovic. I mean, talk us through it. I mean,
well, me and Isle actually got on really well, and it was never personal. And that day, it could have been Rio, could have been Frank, could have been Righty, Monks, Bish, anybody that incident occurred with. It could have been them that got the boot, you know. So it was never personal. What happened was he rolled the ball into me. My touch just came away from me on the training ground, and John Moncur shouted something like, "Get hold of the ball, will you? Get a hold of it." And I just sort of snapped. Chased after Isle, took him from behind, and he sort of rolled over like that. It was a bad tackle, and as I went to pick him up, he sort of swung a punch, and it caught me about there, and I just reacted. I lashed out with my left foot, and as soon as I'd done it, I thought, oh, what have I done? You know, I've done something really stupid here. It was the total wrong reaction. I should never reacted the way that I did. I was aggressive and I loved that side of the game, and that's why big managers paid for my signing. The likes of George Graham and Joe Kinnear and Martin O'Neill, these people all paid big money for me for that type of player. But I was never a player that would elbow people in the face off the ball. I never went in over the top to do people. I was aggressive, and that incident was probably certainly blighted, has put a big blight on my career. I think people always looked at that incident and that went before me a little bit, in terms of, you know, John Hartson, yeah, good in the air, good character, good player, good touch, scores goals, but bit of a, you know, bit of a hothead.
I think
Did you not see what he did? You know, and it's always sort of gone before me,
Yeah.
if you like, which has been difficult.
I think Berkovic even said that if his head was a ball, it would have gone in the top corner.
Oh, yeah,
I think
maybe.
he'd have gone crossbar in everywhere, mate.
Yeah, but
I
it's
must
like,
admit, I did laugh.
well, as I
You
said,
know,
I'm not proud of it,
Nah.
honestly. I'm not proud of it, but it happened, and I bumped into Isle several times since, and every time I see him,
Just laugh at it now.
I'm embarrassed, really. You know, it's just one of the moments where I never ever go, oh, do you see that? Oh, proud of that. I'm not that type of person, you know. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and genuinely, never mind it's the West Ham website or YouTube, or I say that all the dinners I go to, it brought a lot of shame on my parents down in Swansea. They had the newspapers knocking their door, and they live in a nice little rural village. They weren't happy with what I did. Lots of people weren't. And if anything, I never recovered from that. I had another 3 or 4 years left on my contract at West Ham. And I think Joe Kinnear sort of saw that I was maybe available. And they come in and they made an astronomical bid in 1999. 7.5 million, that's like 16 years ago. That's a lot of money today.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about it, 16 years ago, you know. And I think Harry sort of thought, do you know what, John's affected by that. The crowd have turned slightly. I wasn't scoring the goals, maybe put a little bit of weight on. And then they decided to sell me to Wimbledon. And they more than doubled their money. You know, they paid 3.2 million. I'd scored all them goals the previous year. I was the darling of the crowd, and that just went, and I couldn't quite get that back.
Did you feel it was the right time to go then?
Yeah, but I would have stayed. I would have stayed if the club hadn't have accepted the deal. I would have stayed, and I'd have kept working away at it, and hopefully I'd got goals and turned things around. But when you think about it, you know, when a club gets double their money for a player, you know, so the way I look at it was, I was very good for West Ham, and they were good for me in a way. We were a good fit.
Yeah.
And as I said, out of that £7.5 million, you bought Di Canio, who was an absolute legend at the club. The crowd love him to this day.
Yeah.
Mark Vivian Foley,
yeah.
God rest his soul, he's no longer with us. And I think he bought Scott Minto. So
Yeah.
Harry went out and paid £7 million on 3 players the next day. So he'd got all them goals out of me, and he'd got good value in the end, you know. But even when I went back to West Ham, I went back there for Coventry, I went back there for Wimbledon, scored there for Coventry, goal disallowed one night live on Sky. PAC was behind the goal, but they give the goal as if it was offside. I think I got a couple for Wimbledon in the game that we were 3-0 up at half time, and West Ham then, I mixed up. That was for West Ham against Wimbledon. You might remember the game. We were 3-0 up. Wimbledon beat us 4-3.
Yeah.
Mixed up. But obviously, not long after that, then I went up to Celtic as well and played up in Glasgow. So, fond memories really of
Yeah.
West Ham as a football club.
Who would you say was the best player you played with at West Ham?
Best player I played with, probably talent-wise, it would probably be young Rio. But Monks had great ability. Bish could play, could drop his shoulder, good passer of the ball, always give everything, run for 90 minutes, a real crowd favourite, Ian Bishop. Dixie obviously was aggressive, probably the only man I'd never seen booed over in the chicken run end. You know, he could have a poo on the halfway line, they'd still cheer him. You know, Dixie was Dixie. He's great that he's back at the club working now. I think he knows Slaven, he played with him, like myself. You know, them 3 players were very good. Young Frank was coming through. Never quite thought he'd go on to be the player that he became. Little guy called Hugo Porfirio.
Oh, yeah.
ridiculous talent.
The one that's never
like
seen
a little
snow
Messi he
before.
was. He was just frightening. Harry loved that type of player.
Yeah.
To come in, give him 6 months and be incredible. So as I said, I'd have to be probably off my head if I didn't go with Rio Ferdinand.
What about the worst player? I know they're your fellow professionals, but
Yeah, I don't know really. Worst player, I don't.
or the worst trainer, or so.
Well, it wasn't much worse than me actually. I wasn't a great trainer. But
Razor.
no, I wouldn't say Reids. That's a difficult one really. I wouldn't really want to talk about that one, to be honest, because I wouldn't want to be derogatory or disrespectful to no one really. Because as a professional footballer, you give everything, and you know. So I'll leave that one out.
Any regrets? West Ham? What was your
Obviously,
biggest regret?
only the incident with Isle. Really, I shouldn't have reacted the way I did. I did. Probably that was the only one. Other than that, you know, it was all uphill really. I signed a new contract after a year of being there. Got on great with the manager. I was popular in the dressing room. I was part of them kids coming through. You know, that team where they all made their debuts in. Rio used to come over on a Friday morning, and me and Ian Dowie would be backing into him. And this kid was 16, 17 years of age, and he would struggle because of our physicality. And Rio even says to this day that was an education for him. You know, that was great to learn off Big John and Ian Dowie, both, you know, 6'4", 17, 16, 15 stone, leaning into me. I had to get around them and defend against them. And I was a kid, so to be part of that as well, and to have helped them develop like they have. Nothing but fond memories, honestly. I really haven't got any regrets other than the one that we've spoken about, which is arguably, at any club, I never reacted anything like that. It was just that one incident where I keep getting reminded of it. You know, I scored a lot of goals. It's 20 years ago. I'm 40 now. That happened when I was 21 years of age. But I think the genuine supporters, people like yourself and the boys in the room now, West Ham through and through, they look at John Hartson and think, yeah, that was a mistake, John. It was a bit wrong. But hey, I remember your goals. I remember the fact that bullet-headed against Spurs. I remember your other goals against Aston Villa. I remember your goal against Barnsley. I think the genuine supporters go, when they think about the good players they've had over the years, they probably had me amongst them players.
Well, like I said, I mean, you're up there with one of my favourite players of all time, because you was in my era.
Thank you.
And when you left, mate, I tell you, I was nearly in tears. I was, because back then you didn't have social media, so you had to look on teletext.
That's right, yeah.
When it came up Hartson signed for Wimbledon, I was like, gutted, mate.
Oh, there you go.
But, I mean, you left West Ham, you went on to Wimbledon and then Coventry, and then you signed for Celtic. I mean, what was the similarity, like difference with a London derby and an Old Firm derby, like crowd-wise? What was it like?
Well, I think the Celtic Rangers derby is the biggest derby in world football. You know, it's two sets of fans. It's religion, and it goes back hundreds and thousands of years. It's Catholic, Protestant. There's 2,000 police that segregate the fans. And it's pure hatred and pure rivalry. That's what it is. You know, it splits families. This, you know, Catholic, Protestant.
Yeah.
And I'm not religious, so for me, the crowd, the noise, and if you ask Graham Souness, who's won 3 European Cups at Liverpool, managed Galatasaray, played at Besiktas, Fenerbahce, all these Turkish derbies. If you ask Graham Souness, what's the biggest derby, what's the most ferocious derby you've ever witnessed, he'd say Rangers Celtic. And this is a man that has played in no end of Merseyside derbies. You ask Paul Gascoigne, he's played Roma, Lazio, he's played Tottenham, Arsenal. You ask Gaza, Celtic Rangers. Not a question about it. Doesn't come even close. So when you ask these guys, it's just the noise and the atmosphere. It's just absolutely rocking, you know, and you sense the rivalry. The week before you take the game, you take your kids into school. The parents, hey, come on, this week, you got to beat these. You know what it means to us fans? You got to beat this mob. In the garage, putting petrol in your car, people coming out, people driving past, window down. They're either giving you some sort of obscenity sign out of the window, or they're shouting, big man, Saturday legend, come on. So you get reminded of it everywhere, really. Now, I played in big games. I played England, Wales several times for my country. I played West Ham Spurs several times. I played in North London Derby, Arsenal Tottenham. I played Luton Watford. I've played West Brom, Wolves. I've played Norwich, Ipswich. So I've played in 15 derbies. But to play in the Rangers Celtic derby 26 times and score 11 goals for Celtic against Rangers, old firm winners, that made me feel very special, because you get the keys to, certainly to one half of the city.
Do you think deep down that Celtic have missed Rangers these past few years?
Certainly missed them. Yeah, I think Scottish football has missed them.
Mm.
There had to be something done, because Rangers had broken quite a lot of rules, financially and everything else, and club rules and FA rules. And you can't go about your business and do that, really. So there had to be a punishment. And there was a punishment. A lot of people thought it was quite severe. They got demoted 3 divisions. It's been, 4 or 5 years now. But Rangers are going quite well again now in the Championship. I wouldn't be surprised to see them come up next year. Celtic are chasing 5 in a row. Yeah. Both clubs have done 9 in a row. Both got great histories. So Rangers will need to get back up if they want to stop Celtic winning 10 in a row, because that's the holy grail up there. That's what people want. And Celtic in the ascendancy, winning titles after titles. But they're very strong. They're very strong in the Scottish Premier League. There's no doubt about that. Cancer's not a flu or a bug or a disease. Cancer kills people. Cancer takes good people away from us every single day of our lives. Cancer. It turns people's lives upside down, families. And I feel very blessed to have been given the opportunity to see my children grow up and to be part of their lives.